And Bonds hits one high. Hits it deep. It is out of here. 7:56. Bonds stands alone.
Now Booker with Tucker on him. Throws it up for 8. Shot blocked by Antetokounmpo. What a block from Giannis.
17 seconds from Game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead.
Minute remaining. And they're putting Curry in the pick and roll, trying to get him on Irving. Irving and Curry, one-on-one. Irving puts it up. It's good! Kyrie Irving from downtown!
We're sending it in, Jerome. That's for damn sure.
Yes. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Taproom Sports Podcast. Here with my man, AK. I'm Jordan Stacks on Stacks Flats. We are here for the college football preview show. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're in the chat, say what's up. Let us know. We are going over the ACC this week, which is the conference of AK's favorite team, the Virginia Cavaliers, who he told me before the show that they're going to win the conference. So I'm excited to hear the handicap. No, I'm just joking. He's realistic. But, yeah, man, excited to be here. AK, how you doing tonight?
Jordan, I'm glad to be here, man, and excited to talk about the ACC, one of my favorite conferences. You know, living here in the heart of Virginia, I'm a big UVA fan, grew up a UVA fan. My dad worked there for 41 years, so been going to games since I was born, and you know, I'm a season ticket holder there now, and have been for many years now. And know it's going to be a little bit of a tough year for us, but hopefully we'll show a little fight and maybe try to figure it out along the way.
Hey, anything's possible, man. Anything's possible. The ACC is actually, it's a very interesting conference, dude. Like, you know, as I was doing my research for it, it's like every team I was like higher on than I felt I was previously to actually like digging into it. You know, sans a couple teams, Virginia being one of them. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to talk ACC. We'll be joined with Irv soon. But let's hop right into it, man. Let's talk about your Virginia Cavaliers. So if you guys are new to this show, we go through the worst team to the best team, and then, you know, just really break it down from there. So with that being said, AK, I'm going to let you take Virginia. So Virginia Cavaliers win totals 3.5 to win the conference, plus 20,000. They're returning 5 starters on offense, 8 on defense. Tony Elliott's second year. What's your thought on your Wahoos here?
Well, you know, with the Wahoos, we went through the George Welsh years, and we come out of them. We went through the Mike London years, and we kind of, you know, lived at the bottom of the ACC. And then here comes Bronco Mendenhall. And in the second year there, we go from 2-10 to a bowl team. Went to a couple bowls and then kind of eclipsed there, if you will, playing Clemson in the ACC championship and almost beating Florida in a New Year's Bowl. And, you know, Bronco kind of dips on us. And then here comes Tony Elliott. And look, you know, the tragedy that happened at UVA last year was terrible. Lavelle Davis, all those guys will forever be in our hearts. And I hope maybe some of the players on the team that came back can find some strength in that and play for those guys. But I think it's going to be an uphill battle. I think Tony Elliott's got his work cut out for us. First, we talk about the pros. The pros of UVA is they actually had one of the better defenses in the ACC last year. John Rosinski came over from Air Force. Yep. I think the defense is gonna keep them in some games to where they can cover some larger spreads. And what's crazy is I've been following this UVA Tennessee line week 1, and it's just kind of trending towards UVA. You know, it's like I saw 29 and a half, and I just looked today. After looking the other day, it was like 28 and a half, and now it's 28. So, you know, I think they're expecting their defense to keep them in some games. But Jay Wolfick, of course, had a great 2 years on the baseball team, kind of came out this week and said that he's given football up. He's got a potential to be a pro baseball relief pitcher, so he's going to kind of chase his dream there. So that kind of leaves Tony Muskett, Monmouth transfer.
Yep.
I think he'll be our starting quarterback this year, but a lot of holes to fill, man. I still think the defense can keep him in some games to cover some big spreads, but I wouldn't be rushing to the window here to bet the over 3.5 wins, Jordan.
Yeah, I think this is this is one of the teams that I kind of looked and I was kind of like, if there's a team I'm willing to go under 3.5, this is probably the team. And like you said, I think it's just an uphill battle with Tony Elliott with what he's having to deal with, right? And
Yep.
their schedule doesn't really break for them very well. They got to play Louisville at Louisville. They got to play at Miami, at North Carolina, obviously at Maryland too, and then Tennessee. Like it's a tough schedule. It's one of the tougher schedules in the ACC too. So
they might lose to James Madison. I mean,
you think so?
James Madison isn't a walkover, if you will.
That's interesting. I don't know about that. I mean, James Madison was good last year. They were good last year. But I mean, I'm lower on NC State, and they get them at home. Like that's a game where they can upset them, and they did have a couple upsets last year.
Well, they'll have the motivation factor against NC State playing against Brennan Armstrong and Robert Nye, their old offensive coordinator and their old starting quarterback. That kind of jump ship, if you will. So
absolutely. All right, let's move over to the Virginia Tech, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Again, this is Brent Key's second year, so another second-year coach in this conference. Last year they were 5-7. This year they're returning 5 starters on offense, 7 on defense. Their win total is 4.5 to win the conference. Another plus 20,000 team. A big part of that is their schedule. They have a pretty tough schedule as they have to face Clemson, Georgia, Miami, Ole Miss. They have a very tough schedule. What's your thoughts on Georgia Tech here?
I was looking at Georgia Tech, and I guess months ago they were a team that I had circled that I was like, okay, I'm going to really dive into what they're going to have going on here. I know they grabbed Haynes King, the quarterback from Texas A&M.
Yep.
Which could help. But I just couldn't get there after I started seeing how many players they lost on the defensive side of the ball. So
yep.
As a team that I kind of had circled that I wanted to target, quickly faded away, Jordan.
Yeah, they do lose their best defensive player from last year, which is a huge loss. I'm really high on Jeff Sims. I think Jeff Sims is a great quarterback. This offensive line was fucking terrible last year. And it's not going to be like a ton better. It'll be improved only because they have more experience this year, but I don't think it's going to be like that much better. And Haynes King, he left a lot to be desired at Texas A&M, and I just don't see he's going to have less talent here. So I don't really see how he's going to be able to like just flip a switch into the guy that he was supposed to be. He was a very highly touted recruit coming out of high school. So I mean the talent's there. I don't know if he'll ever be able to hold up. Again, they got to start it. They get Louisville, neutral site. They have to go to Ole Miss, to Wake Forest, to Miami. They get Boston College at home, who I think is going to be better this year than last year too.
I'm glad you said that. They
get North Carolina at home, and then they have to go to Virginia, to Clemson, and then Syracuse and Georgia. So I don't know how they're even going to get to 5 wins, which is what they had last year. I just don't see it. So I'm with you on that. That's another one. I think 4.5 is a little too low. I'm not willing to really play under there, but definitely looking at the under more than anything. What do you have any other thoughts on Georgia Tech?
I don't, man. Like I said, I thought Georgia Tech would be a team that I said, okay, I saw that win total when they came out a couple weeks, months ago, and I was like, okay. I started looking. They played Louisville week 1, which is going to be a tough game, even though they catch them at home. But then they got to play. They'll probably beat South Carolina State, but then they got to go to Ole Miss, to Wake Forest, come back for a sandwich game against Bowling Green, then go to Miami, and then go back to back against Boston College and North Carolina, who I'm actually higher on Boston College than probably most this year. So. Tough schedule, man, and they still got to play Clemson and Georgia and a Syracuse team that's I think it's going to be okay again this year at the end of the season. So not getting any gimme wins at the end of the year.
Like, yeah, I actually agree with you on Boston College, and we'll get to Boston College shortly. But that's one of the teams that I'm definitely higher on than the market for sure. Just looking at everything in general, and I mean, Irv and I were talking about BC last night, and he was just talking about how bad they were last year, and I was like, man, they have one of the worst offensive lines in the history of fucking football last year. I just don't see that happening again this year. Sorry, I'm dialing up something real quick. As far as
Irv has joined the chat.
Irv, what do you think about Georgia Tech and Haynes King and what they got going on this year?
It all honestly depends on what they get from the QB position because they're going to be solid everywhere else.
You think they're going to be solid everywhere else?
Nah, not really. I'm giving them some hope. ACC is real top heavy. The rest of the conference is pretty much in obscurity. So, and with all this realignment coming, they're gonna lose a lot of their top dogs. But as far as this season, I think they could fight to try to make a bowl game, but I think they're gonna struggle for the most part.
And see, I agree with Irv. Like that's kind of my thinking when I came into the season. I was like, okay, Georgia Tech, this is going to be a team I'm going to target. The more I started diving into that schedule and the way it breaks, man, I just couldn't get there, guys.
Yeah.
The fact that they lost basically their top 3 defensive players from last year too hurt.
Yeah, that's a major loss, similar to what we're going to talk about with NC State too.
Yeah,
lost a lot on defense, leaves a lot to be desired. All right, I almost got this finish here. We are almost there. Sorry for those that are tuning in live. You're seeing live production and hosting all at the same time. That's how we do it.
Hey boys, El Paso walked it off in AAA. Just by the way,
Oh, let's go!
Off home run in the bottom of the 9th.
Let's go. What's the Reno score?
Still tied up 5-5 in the bottom of the 6th, and we just walked it off with the walk-off home run.
The El Paso, what's their name? The Chihuahuas?
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. Let's move over to the Virginia Tech Hokies. Brent Pry's Virginia Tech Hokies. Another team you're kind of close to over there, AK, in Blacksburg, Virginia. Yep. Virginia Tech last year 3-8, really down year. I know a lot of alumni and fans at Virginia Tech not really high on Brent Pry. He does bring in Kyron Drones this year from Baylor to play quarterback. Their win total this year is 5, so we're looking at a 2-win increase. And to win the conference plus 10,000, they're returning 7 starters on offense and 7 on defense. What do you guys think about Virginia Tech? The Hokies.
Go ahead, Irv.
It sucks, man, because the nostalgia of that program, the what they built in the early, mid, and even into the mid 2010s is just not there no more. The quarterback position is upgraded. Kyron Jones does have some potential. Hopefully, Pride can bring it out of him, but that offense is just too archaic. They're not aggressive enough. They just play too conservative. The days of trying to lean on defense and special teams is over. They just got to build a new foundation, man. I'm not high on Virginia Tech. Wasn't high on them last year. I said it was going to be terrible last year, and they're probably going to be just about the same this year. They might win again more. Probably might win. Over under is 5.
Over under is 5, yes.
I think let me look at their schedule because I think they got a pretty
They play Old Dominion and Purdue. I mean, they could definitely start out 2-0 because Purdue's
they definitely should start out 2-0.
They lost Old Dominion last year.
Lost
on a Friday night
last year.
They did.
They should.
Old Dominion's not gonna be as good this year though.
They aren't.
Then they get Rutgers at Rutgers. I don't think Rutgers is gonna be as good this year either.
Probably not. They start off 3-0, then they just got to win 2 more games. That's basically what we're looking at. But they could easily lose to Marshall, Pitt, FSU, Wake Forest, Syracuse.
Yeah, guys, they don't have any breaks in their schedule except for playing the Wahoo's last game of the season.
Yeah.
They got to go to Florida State. They got to go to Louisville, to Boston College. That's tough.
Yep.
Yeah, they can start off 3-0 and then lose 9 in a row. So I'm gonna lean the under because I'm not high on this team. I won't be until Pride shows that he could actually build a program and be competent and score more than 21 points a game.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, too, fellas. They haven't even come out and said that Drones is the quarterback yet, and we know what happens when there's an unsettled quarterback room. Doesn't usually equal success. And you still got Grant Wells there, which that was Pry's. Pry was pretty big on him. And from everything that I've read, it's still Grant Wells' job to lose. So when you've got an unsettled quarterback room, and the minute they lose to Purdue in week 2, they're guys in Blacksburg are going to be calling for Pry's head. They're going to be calling for whoever's head.
Oh,
and
yeah.
As Jordan alluded to, man, there's a lot of Virginia Tech guys that aren't high on Pry whatsoever.
Yep. I mean, honestly, if he doesn't win 5 games this year, I could definitely see him losing his job. 100%.
He won't make it through the season.
Yeah.
I almost guarantee you.
And if Kyron Drones isn't starting, I can guarantee you they're not winning 5 games.
Yep.
I didn't see anything out of Wells last year. I know their offensive line wasn't very good, but the offensive line isn't going to be very good this year either. It's probably going to be the weakness of their team. Their defensive line, I know they lost a couple guys last year to injury. I know they have some like 4- and 5-star recruits on their defensive line, but like they have to produce at some point. And then they did transfer in Stone Snyder, who's a 3-time FCS All-American from Virginia Military Institute, which could be a good addition. So we'll see how that kind of works out. But yeah, I got no play here on Virginia Tech. Like I could very well see them winning 6 games. I could also very well see them winning 3 games. It really depends on kind of how the quarterback situation shakes out, and I do think that they're lacking some talent for sure, and that's a problem. That's a huge problem, and I think that's why Virginia Tech fans are so frustrated, is because they're used to having a lot of talent and they don't have it. It's not even bad coaching. It's just like you got to have talent to win. If you don't have that talent, it's tough to win.
It's hard to believe that I can make this kind of comparison, but all the down years that Miami had after they had kind of built this level of success, this level of sustainability, the level of expectation.
Yep.
That's how Virginia Tech, hey, hats off to Frank Beamer. Irv, you kind of alluded to it, man. You never could count them out because they'd come and block a punt against you, or block a kick. And just the special teams play was just probably the best we've ever seen in college football for that many years. And to be kind of in the bottom dweller of the ACC for this many years in a row now, man, it's almost like a culture shock to those guys in Blacksburg. I'm hour and 45 minutes away from there, so I have a lot of Virginia Tech fans that I talk to on a regular basis. And by the way, Grant Wills did start the spring games starting quarterback. So
if he's the starting quarterback, good luck to Virginia Tech. All right, let's move over to our next team. We got the Boston College Eagles. We kind of talked about it earlier. This is a team that obviously, AK and I got similar feelings about. So, AK, I'll let you start it off. Their win totals at 5.5 right now to win the conference, plus 15,000. They did win 3 games last year. They're returning 9 starters on offense and 6 on defense. What's your thoughts on Boston College?
Full transparency, I have not bet anything in the ACC yet, but this is the closest thing that I am to betting anything right now, and it's Boston College over on win totals. It's kind of been the running theme of the show. I watched highlights of someone that I'm high on before the show to kind of get me hyped up. I started it with Seth Hennigan and AC. I think is when I started that. But anyways, I was sitting here and watching Emmett Moorhead highlights. This kid's got incredible arm strength. He's got placement on the ball. If you go back and watch some of the throws he made last year, you kind of mentioned how bad their offensive line was. He stood in the pocket like a seasoned veteran and is just delivering the ball. And it wasn't just to Zay Flowers. It was all over the field. And he's got incredible arm strength, incredible touch on the ball, and also incredible zip on the ball. So I fully expect him to shock some people this year. When you look at their schedule, they come out to play Northern Illinois, Holy Cross. Okay. And then they get Florida State at home. But guess who Florida State has to play the next week?
Who do they play?
Clemson.
Clemson? Oh, yeah, that's a look ahead spot.
Yeah. Perfect look ahead spot.
To add on, just real quick, AK, to add on to what we were talking about with the offensive line, I just want to throw this out there for everybody. So Boston College, they lost their starting right tackle and their left guard within 2 weeks to start the season. They had 10 different offensive linemen start at least 2 games, and they used a different offensive line combo in each of the first 9 games. So when I talk about how bad the offensive line is, it's a lot with injury, and like they just didn't have a lot of like time to gel together at all. Like they're just rotating guys and trying to figure things out. They allowed 46 sacks last year and only rushed for 63 yards per game. That's how bad this offensive line was.
Well, and they were also trying to figure out the Phil Jerkovich situation. He was
also
kind of banged up. Yeah, right. He was banged up, and they were kind of trying to figure him out. And if you guys remember, they would bring like Moorhead in like the third quarter of like every game, and you just kind of saw where it was going. But anyways, back to their schedule. I just think the schedule really breaks in their favor. They get Florida State in a look ahead spot there. You go to Louisville. You play, get Virginia at home. I don't think Army's going to be. We don't know what Army's going to be yet, but that's a winnable game.
Yep.
You go to Georgia Tech, winnable game. You catch UConn back at home. You go to Syracuse, catch Virginia Tech at home. Go to Pittsburgh and Miami. I mean, I just don't see a way how they don't get 6 wins personally.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. And then Pat Garwo, obviously, like his 2021, he had a great year. Took a step back last year, a lot of it due to the offensive line again. They also have George Takis, who's a senior. He transferred from North Dakota, great tight end. They lose Zay Flowers, but they do transfer in Ryan O'Keefe from UCF, who was one of their leading receivers last year. Like I said, they get 2 of their starting linemen that they were supposed to have last year that got hurt. So that's a huge plus. That's a huge addition. So I'm definitely high on Boston College. I thought after 2021, I thought Boston College was really turning the corner. And I thought Jeff Hafley was doing a great job, and I was looking forward to what they were going to build. Thought they obviously took a huge step back last year, but their defense was good last year, right? Their defense kept them in a lot of games, and they're going to be they return a lot of a good talent on defense. They didn't lose the guys they lost. They didn't lose like key contributors to their defense. They return Donovan. I can't even pronounce his last name. 2nd team All ACC defensive end. Bryce Steele. Yeah, man, they got Elijah Jones, cornerback, 2nd team All ACC. I think this is gonna be a much better team than what the market is alluding to here. What's your thoughts, Irv?
Yeah, you're a lot higher on Boston College than me, probably UNAK. I'm trying to take the wait and see approach and lean on y'all too, but I'm just not high on this team. I can't be until I see some improvement.
But that's the thing is, if you think of last year going into this year, you're going to be down on them. That's the problem. But if you actually like look at why they were bad last year, then you'll kind of see like, okay, like they had a lot of bad luck last year. Like they had a lot of things not break their way. Phil,
remember the Syracuse game?
Yeah. And Phil Yurkovich, I mean, he was projected to be like the 3rd best quarterback going into the draft last year. He like gets hurt early in the season, and he kind of played hurt all year. That's why, we saw Moorhead kind of come in and out of games and stuff. And like AK said, dude, Moorhead, good quarterback, man. And Jeff Hafley probably told Yurkovich like, yo, we're going forward with him, which is why Yurkovich transferred, which I think is a great situation for Yurkovich over at Pitt, which we'll get to soon. Let's hop into our next team. We got the Syracuse Orange, which is a very interesting dynamic here this year. Syracuse Orange last year 7-6. Dino Babers 8th year here. They're returning 7 starters on offense, 7 on defense. Their win total is at 6.5, and to win the conference plus 8,000. Or what do you think about the Syracuse Orange?
They lost too much. They lost their best player on defense. Probably they had a recent school history.
Yep.
They lost their leading running back. I think he was first team all ACC. Then he had like 1,600 yards.
Oh, Tucker.
Yeah, he had a bad year last year though.
Okay, I'm confusing him with the kid from.
But you're right. He is their best. He's like their third leading rusher in school history.
Yeah, but I'm confusing him with the kid in the Big Ten. They were orange too. He had Chris Brown.
Illinois.
Illinois, but I just don't. All depends what this offense can bring to the table, man. Because we know the defense is going to be solid. It's just the defense is going to keep them in games. Can the offense win them some games? And they're going to have a lot of swing games on their schedule. They start off against Western Michigan and Colgate. Western Michigan is not going to be a pushover. Honestly, they could be an upset alert for that game, especially playing them early in the year. The ACC schedule, though, is not crazy, but they do play Clemson, UNC.
I think it's brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. They got to play the 4 best teams in the conference.
I was going to say, I think it's one of the hardest schedules in the conference, actually.
Oh, damn, they got to play Wake Forest, too. I didn't see that. Yeah, I'm going under because they could lose. They might beat Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech, but they could easily lose to BC, Pitt, Wake Forest, and that Georgia Tech game on the road won't be easy. It won't be easy either. What's the over under 5 or 6?
6.5.
6.5.
Oh yeah, under. Best bet.
There you go. Well, and Jordan, to add to Irv's point, I agree with him. Sean Tucker, he's lost. They lost a couple of their big defensive guys. Garrett Schrader does come back, and of course you're going to have Rondé Gatson, who I think is probably the best, one of the best pass catchers in the ACC for him.
Agreed.
But losing Robert Anae, it's kind of a wash there because Jason Beck, longtime UVA quarterback coach, you saw what he did with guys like Kirk Benkirk, Bryce Perkins, guys like that. He got all of them into the NFL. So I there may be even an uptick. I think Jason Beck is better than Robert Anae personally, just from being around him for so long. Actually, if I had $1 for every time that I yelled "fire Robert Anae" at a UVA game, I'd be a rich man. So I do think they take a step up with Jason Beck as their coordinator this year. He's just a young guy full of energy that is just kind of a natural born leader, but definitely lean under here. As I said, I think their schedule they've got to play Clemson, North Carolina, Florida State after defending Army's. And we know what kind of the offense you're going to have to defend with Army. That's a brutal 4-game stretch there. After playing Purdue, really, that's a brutal 5-game stretch.
Purdue's not going to be good this year.
And UNC and FSU are back-to-back on the road. Then they got to go on the road to Virginia Tech. Damn, who did today's schedule?
Yep.
Yeah,
they got to go to North Carolina, to Florida State, then go to Blacksburg, and then come back and play Boston College in a game I think Boston College can win.
And then play Pitt in a neutral site game.
Yep.
It's an absolutely brutal stretch to the schedule. One thing neither of you mentioned though, they did bring in a new defensive coordinator, Rocky Long, who if you listen to the show last year, a guy that I'm very high on, I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in college football.
But that's great, but you have an offense that's going to struggle to score 20 points a game.
I was just about to say, Garrett Schrader couldn't stay healthy last year, right? Listen to this stat here. Dino Babers is 4-20 when playing with a backup QB.
Wow.
That's crazy. So basically, if he goes down, they're fucked, dude, because they got Carlos Del Rio Wilson, who's just as dog shit as his pops, playing behind him, and then Braden Davis and Luke McPhill. Not a lot of depth in that quarterback room. So if Garrett Schrader goes down, they're screwed. And not only that, dude, they lose their best offensive lineman, second team All ACC left tackle Matthew Bergeron, who went second round this year. They lost their starting center, and they lost their starting right tackle. So they're breaking in a lot of new. They only returned 2 starters. They're breaking in a whole new offensive line. Only 47 career starts on this offensive line. It's Irv. It's funny. This team might be very well similar. They might be the ACC version of the Lobos last year.
That's all bad.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rocky Long.
Yeah, this could get very ugly, man. Like the defense is
Damn,
gonna
like
have
all
to
the
put up
jobs
points.
Rocky Long could have chose. He chose that one.
Yeah.
Yep, it's unbelievable.
So I'm actually with you, Irv. I honestly, I think over 5.5 Boston College, under 6.5 Syracuse. I think those are two very good bets that I will probably get to the window on. All right, let's move on.
I gotta say though, guys, Sean Tucker didn't have that bad of a year last year. He set such a high expectation the year before when he ran for like 1,600 yards.
Well,
He still ran for over 1,000 yards last year. I was pretty high on. I'm pretty high on Sean Tucker. I hope he does well in the NFL.
Who drafted him?
Bucks.
Yeah.
Ooh, that could be a nice
Yep.
pickup. They're gonna have a dog shit quarterback. You bet. Oh, what's his over under 1,000 yards as a rookie? He might get it.
Well, the thing I worry about that was you still got Rashad White there, and I know he's more of a pass catcher, but I think they're going to try to lean on him too.
Yeah, that's true.
Probably break him in
They let
slow.
Fournette go too.
Yep.
All right,
I like Sean Tucker.
Let's move over to the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. This team here, they have their win total 6 to win the conference plus 5,000. They lost a lot, dude. They only returned 5 starters on offense, 6 on defense. They lose one of their best quarterbacks in program history who transferred over to Notre Dame. AK, what's your thoughts on the Demon Deacons? Besides having the best name of the conference.
I don't even know if it's the best name. They're going to have one of the best receiving trios in the ACC, Jamal Banks, Taylor Moore, and Donovan Green. You kind of saw what a lot of those guys did last year. But offensive line loses 3 starters. If anyone listens to the show, we believe in offensive line.
Yep.
We believe in the trenches. So that's always a concern there. I'm not very high on Wake Forest coming in this year. So maybe one of you guys have a better opinion than I have. When you look at their schedule, out of conference schedule, they play Elon, Vanderbilt, Old Dominion, which are all 3 winnable games. But then they go to, they got to go to Clemson. They get Florida State and Pitt on the back-to-back at home. But they got to go to Notre Dame. I don't know. I'm just not that high on them. What do you think, Irv?
I echo your sentiments. I'm not high on them at all. They lost. I think he might be their best quarterback ever. Honestly,
him or Sean Wolford.
Yeah, Sam Hartman, and they got to play Sam Hartman at Notre Dame, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
NC State. I know they lost a lot, but I believe in them reloading a lot more than the other teams in this conference that lost a lot of players. And that over-under is 6 or 6.5 or 7?
6.
This might be a push because I could see them beating Virginia Tech, but I don't see them beating Pitt, FSU, Duke, NC State, Notre Dame. They can beat Syracuse. Georgia Tech is going to be a tough game for them too. So I got them right at 5 or 6 wins. I don't love the over or the under, but if I had to lean one, I would lean the under, or they might push it and get right to 6 wins. I don't see them going bowling. I'm surprised they held on to those 3 receivers because I know they was getting plenty of offers in the portal to go to other schools. So that was a win for them. But replacing 3 offensive linemen, your quarterback, and 5 starters on defense, I don't like this mix at all.
I'll say this, dude. Mitch Griffiths started one game. He looked really fucking good. I'll throw that out there. He completed 71% of his passes, 340 yards.
It's also against VMI.
Who was that one game against?
He still looked good, man. He still looked good.
Yes.
Let's
Irv
keep.
was the starting center for VMI in that game.
Let's just. I do want you guys to kind of keep in mind though. Dave Clawson offense is always good.
Yeah, the offense is going to be. We know the offense is going to put up points, but
that's
the
the
defense might not be able to stop a nosebleed.
And that's what I want to get to, dude. They lose 5 of their top 6 defensive linemen, so it's completely depleted. And it's a defensive line that held opponents at 3.8 yards per carry last year, one of their best defensive lines in Dave Clawson's tenure. So their defense is going to be nowhere near as good as it was last year, and they're breaking in a new.
What happens with that secondary?
Yep, and they're breaking in a new quarterback. I think that's a recipe for disaster both ways. No matter how good the offense could be electric, dude. It could put up 35 points per game. They might give up 38 points per game, and that's an issue. So I agree though. I think a push is pretty realistic. Because they could beat, obviously they'll beat Elon. They could beat Vanderbilt for sure at home. Old Dominion they could beat Virginia Tech. So I mean they could start 4-0, and then the rest of their schedule: Clemson, Vautech, Pittsburgh, Florida State, Duke, NC State, Notre Dame, Syracuse. I mean, they could easily lose, 4,
All those games
5, 6 of those games, dude.
Yeah,
So best of luck.
And you kind of saw what Wake Forest was at the end of last season. Kind of what you mentioned, Jordan. They're losing games 38-36.
Yep.
And
that was with a better defense
31.
too.
Yep.
It was a covering. They covered a lot. It was a covering machine, but
at the beginning of the season, but not towards the end of the season. If you guys remember.
Yeah, the end they kind of struggled a little bit. All right, let's move over to our next team. We got the Duke Blue Devils. Head coach Mike Elko doing a phenomenal job out here. The win total is 6.5 to win the conference plus 3,700. I don't remember the last time you could get Duke that low, dude, to win the conference. They're returning 18 total starters, 10 on offense, 8 on defense. They're returning a lot. However, they do have a very brutal schedule.
Yes.
Does
Last
not break in
year,
their
I
favor.
looked up this stat doing my research. Shout out to Bet the Board and Brad Powers. They played 2 teams with winning records last year.
Yep.
You know how many teams they play with winning records this year?
I think 8.
8.
Yeah.
So this over under, they got it right at what it should be. But the turning point, the biggest swing games of their season is going to be Louisville, UNC. They got to play. If they can pull an upset on Clemson, they get them early, and Clemson will be breaking in a new offense. I think they got a new defensive coordinator too.
And they play on Labor Day Monday game.
Yeah,
Monday night. Yep. A wacky Monday night game.
I love some Monday night college football.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm rooting for Mike Elko. I think they can do it, get to that over, probably win 8 or 9 games, but they would have to. They got to upset Notre Dame or Clemson.
Go to Florida State.
Yeah, they got to go to Florida State. I think that might be a shootout.
To Louisville.
To Louisville,
Shoot to North Carolina, who I think is going to be tough.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
And to Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are picking Louisville to be like the dark horse.
As they should. Brian Brom's a hell of a coach.
Yep. Breaking news. I know we're talking college football, but Lucas Giolito was just traded to the Angels.
Was he really?
To the Angels.
Yeah, they going all in and try to keep Shohei.
Yep.
That's actually a good pickup, dude.
Wow, and they got Lopez too, relief pitcher.
They got Ronaldo Lopez too.
But the Angels had to kill 2 of their top prospects. I wonder who that was.
Going to Chicago.
Hey, to your point, Irv, I think you just nailed it. But I think the swing game in their season is NC State, because this is how I see it playing out. Let's just say they lose to Clemson naturally, right? They beat Lafayette, Northwestern, UConn. Let's just say they play Notre Dame tough. Win or lose, they play them tough, 3-2. 3-2 after you play Notre Dame and Clemson tough. Then you go to NC State after playing Notre Dame tough, right? It's a perfect letdown spot, right? So if they go to NC State, beat them, then they go to Florida State with momentum. I think that NC State game is the turn. It's either going to go right or left after that game.
Yeah.
I really do think that. I've been eyeing that since we started talking about this game, because Florida State kind of in a letdown spot against Duke right there, because they play after they go to Clemson, they play Virginia Tech at home, Syracuse at home, Duke's the 3rd game in a row at home. Fall asleep at the wheel. Know they got to go to Wake Forest the next week, who always usually plays them tough. I think that's a turning point in their season. I'd be curious to know how they do against NC State. Very excited for that game, actually.
3 of their last 5, actually 4 of their last 6 games are on the road.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a tough end of the year, but at least one of them's at Virginia. So I mean, that's basically.
Hey, we're not gonna use the show to just bash Virginia now, boys. I got on there and I pitched the under as a UVA fan, so we're gonna move on from that.
No,
hey,
I'm just saying,
note,
at least one of those is at Virginia. You know what I mean? It's not like it's at Pitt. They get Pitt at home.
Side note: Reno just tied it up 7-7, the bottom of the 7th.
Let's go. Let's keep rolling. Make up for that fucking dog shit White Sox team. Jesus Christ.
Man, they're just losers. Oh my God, they're just such a trash team.
He need to sell the fucking team, man.
Lucas Giolito's probably walking to Los Angeles to get out of Chicago.
Dude, for real. He's probably like, yo, I'll
Yeah,
hop on the next
he's in a
coach flight.
fucking Uber right now.
He's probably out of there, dude. He probably cleared his locker out in like 2 minutes, dude.
He didn't even clear it out. He just threw gasoline on it and threw a match and took an Uber. and then he put Lopez in the trunk.
5-run lead in half an inning. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude, they gave up 6 in the inning and lost the game because of it.
Between Lance Lynn and Joe Kelly, they threw 53 pitches in 1 inning.
Unbelievable. And not only that, they actually got the third out, but it was a strike 3 that got away from
on a wild pitch. And it wasn't even a wild pitch.
It wasn't.
He could
Zabala
have
just
easily scooped it up.
Yeah, Zabala he's just a dog shit catcher. Ends up carrying on
this
the inning.
Blue Yeti mic almost went out of the window.
Dude, trust me, I was furious, man.
Reno just took the lead, boys.
Let's go.
If anyone listening live does not know, we have been just absolutely murdering AAA baseball.
Yes, we have. What's the score of the Sugarland game, by the way?
Sugarland is up 8-6 in the bottom of the 5th.
Damn, Aviators came back.
Oh, actually, Aviators have 0 outs, bases loaded right now.
That over was money.
Yep.
Yeah. Told you, bro. The ball's just fucking. It's crazy. All right, let's move on to our next team here. We got the Louisville Cardinals.
Oh, guys, I can't believe we didn't say anything about Riley Leonard. Duke's quarterback, Riley Leonard. I do like him a lot.
Yeah, he's great. Great quarterback.
Great quarterback. And also, they probably got the best left tackle, not only in the ACC, but in the whole country.
I don't know about the whole country. He's good, but I don't know about the whole country.
He's up there. So there are some things to like about that team, just for what it's worth.
There is. I think the way their schedule breaks for them, I think it's
I agree.
Brutal, dude. So it's just hard to bet it. Like I could see them winning 11 games. Nah, maybe not 11. I could see them winning.
I could see them winning 8 or 9. On a surprise.
Yeah, but I could also see them winning like 2 games. Because it's like
me too.
It's like Irv said to start it. Like last year, they only played 2 teams with a winning record. So like we don't even really know how good this team is, to be honest.
And here's the thing. Not a lot of teams are going to fall asleep at the wheel against Duke because it's not the traditional Duke team, and everyone knows that. Yep. Everyone knows that Duke has some expectations coming into the season. If you look at some people's power ratings, they're rated in the top 6 in the ACC. People know who they're playing this year. They're not falling asleep at the wheel. So,
100%.
I couldn't end the show without talking about Riley Leonard because I do think a lot of Riley Leonard.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be an NFL draft pick for sure. Probably
he will.
Second or third round pick.
Yep. So, anyways, just want to throw that out there. Riley Leonard, I am high on him.
Love it. All right, let's talk about the Louisville Cardinals. This is a team that I'm naturally high on just because I think Jeff Brom. Brian Brom's the OC, his brother. Both played at Louisville, by the way. I think Louisville lucked out here, dude. They get rid of Satterfield and bring in Brom. I just think they got the absolute best end of everything that worked out. So Louisville, their win total is 8. They went 8-5 last year. They returned 6 starters on offense, 7 on defense to win the conference plus 1,200. Like I just said, Jeff Brom's the head coach here. Comes over from doing a hell of a job at Purdue. I mean, one of the best jobs that we've ever seen at Purdue. And now he's coaching his alma mater, who's actually, hasn't met expectations under Scott Satterfield. And somehow he gets a job at Cincinnati. I'll never understand how that worked out. But one thing I'm high on Louisville about, fellas, is they bring in Jack Plummer from Cal. And I thought Jack Plummer was great at Cal. Because given what Cal had, Cal had one of the worst offensive lines in the Pac-12. They didn't have a ton of skill players either besides Ott, the running back. And he did a great job. He's accurate. He's exactly what Jeff Brom likes in a quarterback and Brian Brom what they both like in a quarterback. A guy that sits in the pocket, dissects, reads, and is very accurate. This is the kind of quarterback they like. I think he perfectly fits what they do here. What's your guys' thoughts on Louisville?
Jack Plummer was almost the reason why they almost beat UCLA last year. If you guys remember, he just went insane in that game.
He also played well against USC too.
Yep. I mean, Louisville had one of the better scoring defenses, actually the best scoring defense in the ACC last year. So, you got to expect them to kind of stay the course.
Oh, we
They
lost.
don't play Florida State. They don't play North Carolina.
Yep.
You don't play those three teams, you're already, in the positive, if you will, if you can avoid playing those three teams. So I think that's huge, man. It's just, I, I think I liked Louisville more before they became everyone's pick. It's kind of like Texas Tech in the Big 12.
Yep.
A couple months ago, I was high on Louisville. I said, okay, yep, look who they got, Jeff Braun. Here we go. And then the Jack Plummer news comes out. I'm like, okay, here we go. And it's just now it's kind of like Texas Tech where everyone's on them, and I tend to try to stay away from those. But that's my just 2 cents. But the schedule breaks perfectly their way. No North Carolina, Florida State, or Clemson. And by the way, we haven't talked about the ACC. No divisions anymore.
Yep.
So top two teams will play each other in the conference again this year.
Agreed. I think they did lose a lot on. I know they lost less on defense, but the talent they lost on defense is pretty significant. They lost first team All ACC Abdullah. He was their best defensive lineman last year, so I think that is a little bit hurtful. I do think that they kind of they might have one of the best offensive lines in the conference, so they got a lot of good transfers, which is beneficial. But the thing is,
I know we're jumping. Go ahead, Jordan. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I know we're jumping around, but I just found out what the Angels gave up. I can't believe they gave up Kai Bush.
They gave up who?
Kai Bush.
Oh my god!
You guys know he is. He's
I mean, this is what the Angels do, though, bro. This is what the Angels do.
He's a left-hander, right?
Yeah, yep. He was a second-round
Wow.
draft pick 2 years ago out of Washington State, and
Yeah.
he's just been going insane down in the minors.
The Angels are idiots, bro.
I couldn't believe that. I when I just looked at that, I couldn't believe what I just saw.
I mean, they have to do this though. They have no.
Yeah, they do. If you're gonna keep Otani, this is what you have to do. But I would not have given up Kai Bush.
They gonna try to keep Otani miss the playoffs and lose him for nothing.
And lose one of their top pitching prospect.
Yeah, he is there. Yeah, he's their top pitching prospect.
That's crazy.
Gotta let SoCal Angels. I don't call them the Orange.
God, that just feels such like that's such an Angels move.
Orange County Angels.
It's an absolute Angels move. Unbelievable. All right, Irv, what do you think about Louisville this year?
Honestly, the over-under's 8, right?
Yeah.
I see 8 or 9 wins on their schedule. If they can beat NC State on the road, that'll be a big leg up.
Yep.
Then they got to go to Notre Dame, then at Pitt, and then the middle of their schedule is going to determine their season because it's NC State, Notre Dame, Pitt, then Duke. I like Brian Brom, damn good coach. Built a great staff. Louisville has been pumping money into the NIL chest and getting some great recruits. Was they able to hold on to that running back, that 4 or 5-star running back?
Which one?
He should be a true freshman.
Kawan Brown? He's not a 5-star. I think he's a 4-star.
They had a 4 or 5-star. Like nobody expected to commit to Louisville, but he did. I wonder if they held on to
I think it's Kawhi.
I think it is Kewan Brown,
Brown,
from
yeah.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully he can hit the ground running as a true freshman, but their schedule isn't daunting. VT,
Not at all.
UVA, Miami, Kentucky, they can win all those games. Devin O'Leary transferred to Kentucky, but I don't try to down players too much. The dude's a dump truck.
Who?
Devin O'Leary.
NC State's old quarterback.
Yeah, NC State old quarterback. He's at Kentucky right now, so they could definitely win that game. That's Miami. They're at Miami. We seen what Miami got blew out by Duke last year at home, like 48-21.
Yeah.
So we know that the jury is definitely out on that team. The coaching is supposed to be improved, the talent, but Cristobal got to prove that on the field. But I got Louisville right at 8 or 9 wins. They can max out at 10. Because if they can beat NC State and Notre Dame, they might drop that one to Pitt because that's going to be tough going on the road after playing NC State and Notre Dame, two physical teams. If they can pull that out.
That's a tough stretch. Even Going
Then
Boston
Duke,
College,
too.
NC State, Notre Dame, Pitt. That's a tough stretch right there.
They could start off 4-0 though, because I'm not high on Boston College. I won't be till I get proven wrong. So,
I mean, they're at home.
yeah.
So.
He
Well,
had to
that's
get that plug in, didn't he?
He did.
Boston College is terrible. So
I will say, guys, there is a couple 8.5s, a little juiced 8.5s. If you can swallow some juice there, I think under 8.5 is where I would lean here.
yeah, but if they could just split that 4-game stretch between NC State and Duke, then they could easily win their last 4 games and be at 9. Yeah, they got to be at 9 or 10 wins. Actually, I'm gonna lean the over.
So, as someone that follows the ACC and lives right here in the heart of ACC country, there's been many years when we've hyped Louisville up.
Oh,
Like,
the
this
last
isn't
2
the first
years,
time.
Louisville's been hyped up.
Yep, with Malik Cunningham and all them. There's been plenty of years where we hyped him, hyped it
I
up.
think Plummer is better than Cunningham for sure.
I do too.
Yeah. Well, Malik Cunningham just became too much of a runner. You know what I mean? It was, anyways, that's a whole nother subject. But even going back to like the Lamar Jackson days, there was days when they were just hyping him up and they're going to go 11-2 this year and they're going to compete. And then they fall on their face and go like 7-5.
Well, the one thing I will say, AK, is that, Jeff Brom and his brother Brian.
Yep.
His brother Brian's the OC.
Yep.
What they did at Purdue, I mean, you can't deny that, dude. Like, that's a team that probably had like 75% less of resources than most of the teams in that conference. And he had them bowl eligible every year. They were in the Big Ten title game last year. They were sniffing Big Ten title games every year. And now he has more resources than he did at Purdue. And I think that's huge. And I think he's going to get the best out of the talent that he already acquired. Like, it's not like he acquired shitty talent either. Like you said, this is a team that's been hyped up for the last 2 years. Which is why I think Scott Satterfield's I'm not going to say he's a trash coach, but I don't think he's that great of a coach. Because he got all this transfer talent, and everyone's like, oh, this year Louisville's going to win the ACC. Louisville's going to win the ACC. They're the dark horse for the ACC, and every year they win fucking 7 or 8 games, dude.
Hey, Irv, I'll throw this little plug in there. Don't forget what happened when Louisville played Boston College last year.
Yeah. But I understand why the market's high on Louisville. And I do think 8 is a lot, especially for a first-year head coach. Like, sometimes it's hard to, like, implement your system in the year and all that kind of stuff. But I do think getting Plummer is a huge addition. Like, I think it just fits exactly what Jeff and Brian like to do. So I think that's a good addition. All right, let's move over to the NC State Wolfpack. They went 8-5 last year. This was the biggest disappointing team of the ACC last year. For those that listened to the ACC preview last year, Irv and I had a bet. He had NC State winning the ACC. Your boy had Clemson winning the ACC. Clemson won the ACC. NC State fell flat on their face, which is why Irv hates fucking Devin O'Leary. But this year, the Wolfpack's total...
Should I hate the Wolfpack now, too? I put my faith in them.
This year, their total is 6.5, so a game and a half less than last year. To win the conference, though, plus 2,200, which is kind of strange. They're returning 7 starters on offense, 5 on defense. What do you guys think about NC State here? AK, I'll start with you because they are getting Rhea, the offensive coordinator, and Brennan Armstrong, who are former UVA guys. So
Robert Anaya.
I'm sorry. What do you think of? What do you guys think of? Or what do you think of NC State this year?
So kind of like you guys, they just couldn't consistently put it together last year, right?
Yeah.
So they would, I guess to simplify it, the best way that I can simplify it is they would like win a game they shouldn't win, then they'd come back the next week and lose a game they should win, right? For instance, they beat Wake Forest when Wake Forest was kind of on that run. They beat them 30-21. They're 7-2 coming in there. All you got to do is take care of business against Boston College, Louisville. Then you go into the showdown against North Carolina. Boston College upsets them. Louisville beats the shit out of them. And then they come back and then beat North Carolina in double overtime, which was a game I was on NC State, by the way, which almost gave me a heart attack. So they've won games they shouldn't have and lost games they shouldn't have. So very inconsistent. I do think that people are forgetting Brennan Armstrong. He had a terrible year last year, but it was because the more pro style offense that
Didn't fit in.
Tony Elliott bought in. That is not Brennan Armstrong at all. But Robert Anae's offense, don't forget what he did in that offense for 2 years. He set
4,000
UVA's,
yards, 65% completion percentage, 31 TDs, 10 interceptions under Anae.
Yep. I mean, that's incredible. We're talking about a guy that, had almost 11,000 yards career offensive yardage at UVA. Most of that was under Robert Anae. So I do think it clicks because Robert Anae just allows him to play backyard football. It's not really a read style offense. It's a spread them out, and we're going to, snap the ball to Armstrong. And if there's not, he's going to look for the hook route. He's going to look for the crossing route. And if not, he's taking off running. And he's actually a pretty efficient runner. He'll put a shoulder down and run through some people. So I think it fits what they're trying to do there. So I'm curious to see, kind of like Irv said, the ACC is definitely a wait and see kind of approach to a lot of these teams. But I wouldn't be surprised if NC State doesn't surprise some people this year. And by winning games they probably shouldn't win.
To your point there, I think Dave Doran does his best work when he doesn't have expectations. Like last year was really the first year where they had like huge expectations, and obviously they didn't meet it. But I mean, the year before that, nobody expected NC State to be as good as they were, and they were great. They do lose a lot of talent on their defense. However, like this is like how we talk about Wake Forest and Jeff Brom at Louisville. Like NC State on defense, like they always produce a good defensive line, dude. Like it don't matter how much talent they lose, like they always produce a good defensive line. So I don't think there's like a ton to put in there. They do lose Drake Thomas, though, who was a 2-time first-team ACC, which is a huge fucking loss. So, I mean, they do lose a lot of talent on defense, which was their forte. So, I mean, if you like NC State, like you're really banking on Robert Anae and Brennan Armstrong connection.
And it worked. We saw it work.
It's been a year, though.
It's been a year, but Robert Anae literally just lets him sit back there and play to his strengths.
Who's he throwing to?
Outside of, not to cut y'all off, but outside of Clemson and Notre Dame, the rest of these games on their schedule are winnable games.
Yeah, they do have a very easy schedule, and all the tough teams they get at home, dude. They get Louisville at home, they get Clemson at home, they get Miami at home, and they get North Carolina at home, dude.
Yeah, if they could take care of business on the road against UVA, Wake Forest, and Vatech, I don't think they beat Duke on the road, but
they could beat Duke on the road, though.
Yeah, they could. I could see 9 or 10 games. Damn, they go way over.
Yeah.
And don't forget, they play Duke the week after they play Notre Dame. So Duke's going to have to fight and claw against Notre Dame.
And then
potential lose the game twice spot.
And
we talk about those all the time.
And NC State's going to be a physical game, too.
Yep.
That's just the way.
NC State's defense is tough. I know they lost players, but Tony Gibson's figured it out. They still got Aiden White as the corner.
Every year
Peyton
they have
Wilson
a good defense.
Yep. I think their defense is still going to be tough.
Yep, and they returned their 2 best offensive linemen too. Timothy McKay, he was honorable All ACC last year, right tackle. Anthony Belton, their left tackle. And that's the other thing. They always develop good offensive linemen too. Like they always have a good offensive line. That's not why they lost last year. They lost last year because their quarterback not as good as we thought.
His name is not to be spoken.
Not as good as we once thought.
It's just amazing when you go look at NC State's games last year and just the stretch they went on when they almost beat Clemson. They come back and beat Florida State. Then they get blown away by Syracuse.
Yep.
Beat Virginia Tech, beat Wake Forest. All you got to do is win a couple games against very winnable games against Boston College and Louisville and get smacked around really in both of those. And then you come back and beat North Carolina. It's no consistency. And I think that's what they got to try to – that's how you take the next step to become upper echelon program. You got to find consistency.
I think a lot of that too, AK, to go back to what we were talking about before, is that they just had expectations that they're not used to having. You know what I mean? Like all eyes were kind of on them, whereas before it's like nobody's expecting them to do anything. But last year we were.
Yep.
All right, let's move over to our next team. This is Irv's favorite team, the Miami Hurricanes. Their win total's at 7.5 to win the conference, plus 2,300. They're returning 9 on offense, 10 on defense.
Miami is nowhere near one of my favorite teams, but
that's your favorite team. It's your favorite head coach too.
College football is better when Miami and USC are relevant. Now, in the early 2000s, Miami was dogs, but they've lost their way, and hopefully they can get it back. But this is another wait and see. Tyler Van Dyke, a lot of people had him as the third best quarterback in the country last year behind CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, and he went out there. I was going to say something crazy, but
he went out there and what?
He went out there and didn't play to his potential. Josh Gaddis as an OC was tragic. The offense was just horrible. They couldn't sustain drives, couldn't move the ball. But it was kind of on him, too, because his deep ball was terrible. He couldn't complete a pass deep to save his life. A lot of bad throws, too. He was throwing in double coverage. He honestly, that Texas A&M game, he threw that game away.
Yeah, he was not good, dude.
Yep.
So if he can play anywhere near his potential, he'll be they'll be all right. But I just don't like the guy as a leader.
Who?
Van Dyke.
Okay.
He renegotiated 2 NIL deals this offseason because he knew that Alabama wanted him and he was going to hop in the portal and go to Alabama, but he basically mercenaried himself into staying at Miami. So if that's your head player, your top guy, your quarterback, that doesn't show good leadership skills. The offensive lines are going to completely rebuild. They're going to be playing a couple true freshmen, but those true freshmen are top 5 5-star NFL first-round pick type talent. So it just depends on how fast they can adjust to the speed of the college game.
But Irv, that you can go up and down Miami's fucking roster, dude. They got NFL talent, dude. It's just
no, but this is like these two are barring major injuries. Those 2 offensive linemen that they picked up, those 2 true freshmen, they're gonna be NFL players in 3 years.
Do you think they'll start right away?
They won't be in college more than 3 years. Well, Francis is definitely going to start right away. Samson is in the battle right now to either be the right guard or I think the right guard or the left guard. They won't be playing tackle yet because Miami has another NFL tackle at left tackle, so he's going to hold down that position. And he started last year. So, but in 2 years, 2-3 years now, both of them are going to be booking. And so
I only see Francis listed as to start.
Yeah, but what's the name played? He was pushing second string the whole spring, and he actually got starter reps in the spring game. Samson.
Well, they also got Cohen from Alabama.
Yep.
So I think the talent is going to be improved, but it also depends on what they get from the coaching because they just hired a new DC and a new OC, so they're breaking in 2 new systems on both sides of the ball. So we're going to see how that is going to go. They did hire 2 pretty good guys. Swanson is a definite upgrade over Josh Gaddis. I don't know how that dude got an OC job, but it is what it is. Honestly, the over-under is what, 7 or 8?
7.5.
7.5.
They got to play. They also have to play North Carolina, Clemson, NC State, Florida State, and Louisville.
The schedule does them no favors because they could start off 3-1, 4-1. But then they got to go UNC, Clemson, UVA, NC State, FSU, Louisville, and they end the season at Boston College. So
they could start 6-0, Irv.
Yeah,
but we know the crystal ball regression is gonna hit.
Yeah, because he's a terrible in-game coach.
And I don't even know that, Irv. They may go down to North Carolina and lose that weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably going to be a shootout, honestly, because
I think we're forgetting how good I think North Carolina can be too.
Yeah,
Miami got to play North Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, Louisville, NC State. I mean, I kind of have those teams as kind of the top 5 teams in the conference.
Yep.
Yeah,
then you got to play Boston College.
The secondary.
Well, and I think it also has to do with what you were saying is how Tyler Van Dyke and Shannon Dawson kind of go together, because we saw what Shannon Dawson did at Houston, but does Tyler Van Dyke fit that mold? You know, the kind of the.
I mean, to be honest,
to be like more of a.
To be honest,
quarterback.
He looked okay in the spring game. Now, if he could build off that, he just got to be more accurate and make better decisions with the football, because We know he got a cannon. He can move around in the pocket. He's a pretty decent athlete. He just got to put it together, or he gonna find himself in the CFL playing for the.
I guess my problem with Tyler Van Dyke
Rough
was,
Riders.
everybody was hyping him up last year. You guys remember he had some like Heisman hype last year.
Yo,
Yeah,
he
he was
did.
the third. He came into the
didn't-
season. He came into the season the third betting option for the Heisman. His Heisman numbers was better than Caleb Williams coming into the season.
Yes, because he played like a really good 6-game stretch against a down ACC in 2021. Like that was my problem the whole time, right? Was that why are we comparing this guy to CJ Stroud or Bryce Young? Right? He had an immaculate 6-game stretch in 2021 at the end of the season, which I know he was highly recruited coming out of high school, all that, but he plays very well for 6 games in a down ACC, and now we're saying he's CJ Stroud. Like I think this may be a situation where we talk about it all the time. We were talking about earlier on the show. He may play better, being that maybe the expectations aren't there. The fact that he was the third Heisman voting favorite last year, that was ridiculous.
100%. And I mean, we talked about it last year when we did the ACC preview. Irv and I were both down on Miami because everybody's expectations were just so unrealistic, and we're kind of down. But now I kind of feel like the market is like so down on Miami, and like they have the talent to be very good. Obviously, the coaching has to be better. And I'm with Irv. Like, I'm not high on Mario Cristobal as a coach. Phenomenal recruiter, dog shit coach. But if he can get those like right coordinators in there, maybe this is it. Maybe these are the two guys that are the right coordinators that can maximize the talent that's there. Kind of like Dabo, right? Dabo's a great recruiter, not a very good coach, right? But he hires the right guys. He hires the right coaches, which is why they won national titles. Now, if Mario Cristobal can do that, this Miami team can be very good. It's tough to bet this win total because we don't know. We don't know if Shannon Dawson left a lot to be desired at Houston. So
they may go and lose at Temple. Fourth game of the season.
Could. They lost to
Middle
Tennessee.
100%. Yeah. And all it takes is falling asleep at the wheel, going to Temple, knowing you got ACC play right around the corner. It's all it takes, man.
So, I mean, I just personally, I can't even bet this either way. Like, it wouldn't shock me if Miami went undefeated. It also wouldn't shock me if Miami won 6 or 7 games. Like, that's just where I'm at with Miami, dude. And until this is the one team that I'm like, until I'm proven as to what they are, like, I don't want anything to do with this team. Nothing. I think we all kind of agree on that. I think that's all kind of what we just said. Nice. All right, let's move over to North Carolina. So the Tar Heels, 8.5 wins this year to win the conference, plus 1,200, returning 9 starters on offense, including runner-up Heisman odds this year, Drake May. Odds-on favorite to be the second overall pick in the NFL draft next year. And they're returning 8 on defense. A dog shit defense from last year, might I add. But still, a very inexperienced defense last year. Now they're experienced. AK, what do you think about North Carolina this year?
I'm going to make this one short and sweet because I've kind of talked about it throughout the show, but I'm pretty excited about North Carolina. Like, I really am. At one point in time, there was some 7.5s floating around out there with North Carolina. And this was the closest that I got, a month ago to betting anything in the ACC was I love the 7.5. That number's really, really juiced now. It's moved to mostly 8.5 now. I don't love it at 8.5. They've got a really tough out of conference schedule. I mean, they got to play South Carolina. They got to play Appalachian State, which Appalachian State is never a walk. You guys remember the game, what was it, last year?
Yep.
Got to play Minnesota. And the good news is they don't have to play Florida State. But they do have to go to Clemson this year. They got to go to NC State and at Pitt. So at 7.5, I really almost got there on the win total, but that obviously has moved. A name to watch, Devontae Walker from Kent State.
Yep.
I think him and Drake May are going to make a nasty 1-2 punch this year. Something I'm excited to see. But like I said, I think North Carolina is going to come out here, and I think Mac Brown's going to put it together this year.
I like it. Irv, what do you think about North Carolina?
if they could play a pinch of defense this team could win 10 games in their sleep because their offense is that good. The
Yep.
problem is they could go out and score 55 points, but they can also give up 60. So
Yep.
it all depends on what they do on the defensive side of the ball. They did add some talent. They're bringing back some talent. If they could have got Cypress, the corner that ended up going to FSU, I would have been a lot higher on North Carolina this year. But that is just wait and see. The offense is gonna win them 7, probably 8 games, honestly. But against the better teams, the NC States, the Clemsons. You can't even throw Miami there because I think they're gonna whoop Miami ass. They're on the road against Georgia Tech. They start off against South Carolina. That's probably gonna be a shootout.
Yeah.
Yep. Appalachian State. Don't forget what happened in that game, 63-61 last year.
Yeah, that's
that was
gonna
a
be
wild
tough. That's
game.
gonna be tough too. So 8.5 wins. Drake may got to be good for at least 1 or 2 games to win them. So I think I'll lean the over. Then they get a layup against wherever the hell CAM is in the middle of the season.
Campbell. Yep.
Yes.
Big South
He said
College.
CAM.
Yeah, so I think they should. I'm looking at 8 or 9 wins, honestly. If they could find a way to upset Clemson or NC State, then they definitely go over.
I think also too, Jordan. I think if anybody follows the show at all, I don't play a lot of totals as far as game totals, and I also don't play a lot of player props. But I think Drake May at plus 16-1 is worth the sprinkle to win the Heisman this year. I'm really expecting big things out of that man.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, he's got the talent, obviously, and he's got the talent around him. I think one thing that we kind of lose sight of with North Carolina last year in their defense is they did lose their 2 best defensive linemen very early in the season, in Raymond Vahasek and Desmond Evans. Now, Vahasek got drafted in the NFL. Desmond Evans is back this year. He was out for the year last year. Huge upgrade. Miles Murphy also back. Huge guy. He's going to be an NFL player. He's going to be playing on Sundays. Cedric Gray, the linebacker, 14 All-American last year. They returned him. So I think this defense has talent. I just think they were a little inexperienced last year, and then they were really banged up as well. So I think playing a little bit of North Carolina plus 1,200 to win the conference, I don't think it's a bad play. Could very well see a scenario. I mean, when you got the best player in the conference on your team, you always have a shot. You know what I mean? And I think at plus 1,200, definitely think this is going to be an upgraded team. Mac Brown has a ton of experience too. I don't know how much actual coaching he does now because he's hella old. And I don't even know if he even knows the score of the game halfway through the game, but he could, he gets the best out of the talent that's there. So,
and doesn't that just feel like and I'm not getting into narratives here, but for the sake of the show, doesn't that just feel like a Mac Brown move? Like one of his last big moves as a kid coach.
What do you mean?
Drake May wins the Heisman and
he rides off in the sunset. Yeah, I mean, to your point, AK, NC State, North Carolina has not won the ACC title in 40 years.
Yep, it just feels like a Mac Brown move.
Yep. So I mean,
the icing on the cake to go back to North Carolina and win the ACC for the first time in 40 some years,
and then right off into the sunset.
It just feels like a Mac Brown move.
Yep. So I mean, I'm actually, I haven't played it, but I'm going to play a little bit of just putting a little bit on North Carolina win the conference. I can see it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, whenever you got the best player in the conference, you always got a chance. All right, let's move over to the Pitt Panthers. Their win total is 6.5 to win the conference, plus 2,500. They're returning 7 starters on offense, 5 on defense. Pat Narduzzi, this is his 9th year here. What do you guys think about Pitt?
I hope they go 0-12. Their head coach is a sucker. I'm gonna just not say what I really want to say, but he's definitely a sucker.
Why?
Because when Jordan Addison transferred to USC, he called the FBI and tried to get USC investigated. But I digress.
He's a good coach, though.
That's fine. They got a trash bin quarterback and Phil Jerkovich. I'm not high on him. You could try to blame the O-line as much as you can, but dude was just terrible.
So what about the year you had before last year?
That's fine. He was pedestrian. He wasn't that great, and he's gonna be pedestrian at Pitt. Their schedule is pretty tough because they play ND. They on the road against Wake Forest. They play UNC. They might can beat Syracuse or BC at Duke to end the season. Non-conference shouldn't be too much of a struggle. They play Wofford, Cincinnati, and West Virginia. They could lose to Cincinnati because Cincinnati can play defense and Pitt offense is nothing special. What's the over under?
6.5.
8.5.
6.5.
6.5.
6.5.
Probably got them right at 6, maybe 7 wins. So I would maybe lean the over, depending on what they get from Jerkovic, which I don't expect much, but maybe they can get over. They could probably sneak into a bowl game, but I wouldn't be surprised if they only win like 3 or 4 games, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. They got to replace their, really good running back, Jared Wayne, their leading receiver from last year too. So they got to, replace some pieces. This is definitely one of those teams that we're talking about earlier in the show that it's a wait and see approach from me on Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, Narduzzi, he always has a good defense, man. You can never count him out. They always produce good defensive linemen, especially. So even though they do lose some talent, I definitely think Phil Jurkovec could definitely have a better year than Keaton Slovis last year. He left a lot to be desired on that team. So I actually like Pitt. I think he's a better team than the market expects. I like him over 6.5. I don't know if I'll get to the window on it because they do have a tough schedule: North Carolina, Louisville, Notre Dame, Florida State, Boston College, Duke. They do miss out on Miami and North Carolina though, and Clemson, which I think is fucking huge. And they're gonna dog walk West Virginia in the backyard brawl. Like West Virginia is terrible, so I don't know, man. I easily see like 7 to 8 wins on the schedule, but it's tough to get there on because I do agree with you guys. Like they do lose a lot of talent, they got to replace a lot of talent, so we'll see what happens there. All right, let's move over to our next one. We got Florida State, our second to last team here. Florida State Seminoles. This is you want to talk about Louisville, AK. This is the darling this offseason of teams. Florida, everyone's on Florida State. Their win total is 10 to win the
I was
conference.
actually told that they already won the ACC, so
Yeah.
just might not even need to play the season.
Yeah, I think the season's already
I don't
over.
know why we're having this preview show.
Not at all. To win the conference plus 185. They returned 8 starters on offense, 9 on defense. Jordan Travis, another Heisman hopeful. Trey Benson returns. Irv, what do you think about Florida State?
The potential with this offense is top 15 to top 5, so they're going to be very good on offense. If the defense can make stops and try to match that offense and be competitive, Jared Verse might be the first player taken on the defensive side in the draft next year, so they have the talent. They just got to be able to play better on the back end. Their secondary got absolutely torched in the big games last year. That definitely has to get better, especially at safety. That was one of their bigger problems. Getting Cypress, who's hands down a first-round corner, first-round talent, that's going to go a long way in helping that secondary. But it also just depends on what's the quarterback name? Slipping my mind.
Jordan Travis.
Jordan Travis. If he continues to ascend and be the player that he's been these last couple of years with the improvement, I think they're going to be in good hands. But their season, they might have to play Clemson twice this year, honestly. And I give them the edge at the quarterback position, so I like it. I got them going over. They do have the schedule's not super duper tough, but it does line up for them pretty well. They got LSU off the bat, who's a top 5 team, but I also think they're overrated as shit. So I think I got them winning that game. They should have won it.
I like LSU in that game.
Huh?
I was going to say, I think there's a reason why LSU's favored in that game.
I like LSU in that game.
I do too.
I get it. I get why they're favored. Harold Perkins, Jaden Daniels had his best year as a college quarterback, so I get why they're favored, but I just don't see nothing special with LSU. But back to this schedule isn't super duper tough. Besides on the road at Clemson, They got Duke at home, get Syracuse at home, Virginia Tech at home. They on the road against Wake Forest and Pitt, but is that really tough? Not really. Miami's talented, but they beat their ass 50-3 last year, right? Like 48-3, 50-3, something like that.
45-3.
And they end the season against UNA, and we don't know what Florida's going to be. So the over's under 9.5.
Yeah, not 10.
Besides Clemson and LSU, even if they were to lose those games, they could sweep the rest of the schedule.
So
1, 2,
before I pass it off to
3,
you, AK, I just want to say one thing. Like,
4,
we talk a lot about how NC State kind of crumbled under expectations last year. I'm kind of expecting something similar with Florida State this year. Like, this is the first time in a long time Florida State's had expectations. Definitely the first time in Mike Norville's tenure that he's had expectations. I'm not saying they're going to crumble for sure. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't be shocked if they did.
I don't think they crumble. They added a lot of talent. Keon Coleman,
I've seen a lot of college teams with talent crumble.
No, but they added talent that's going to be first, second round draft picks. So, and they already added that to what they had and was building. Jaheim Bell might be the most underrated pickup of the offseason. Dude's shit. He kind of remind me of Vernon Davis. He could do it all at the tight end position. I don't see this team folding. If they could beat LSU week 1,
what if they lose to LSU week 1?
That's what, Jordan, I'm so glad you just brought that point up, because I can't wait to hear his response.
Even if they lose to LSU, I don't see them crumbling, because at the end of the day, the ACC is weak. Outside of Clemson, the only other team on this schedule that could beat them is that should beat them is that could beat them is LSU.
So I'll counter with this, guys, and toss this around for discussion. If they lose to LSU, okay, I'll give it to them. They'll come back and, try to get right against Southern Miss, okay, whatever. They go to Boston College, which is a game that I'm telling you, I think Boston College.
Yeah, with Clemson looming.
If they're sitting there 1-1, if let's just say they get throttled by 14 against LSU, which I think could happen. They come back against Southern Miss. They get caught looking ahead against Boston College. Let's just say Boston College, Florida State pulls it out and wins a close game. They got to go to Clemson. I think they lose that game. You're telling me they've got to win out to push at that point?
Yeah.
Right?
They definitely do.
12 games. You got to, sure.
Yeah, but that's a tough ass to win 10 straight, dude.
The SEC, let's be real. The SEC is the worst Power 5 conference this year, by far.
The ACC?
And with all the expectation that Florida State has this year, they will get everyone's best. Yep. I promise you.
100%.
Everyone will try to.
They're going to get everyone's best. But
play up for them. I promise you. If they start off like that and they come back and beat Virginia Tech and Syracuse, I wouldn't be surprised if Duke or Wake Forest beats them. They lose one of those games,
or Pitt.
And then you've lost your season win total in the 1st of October.
That could happen, but I'm a lot higher on FSU than y'all. Clearly,
I don't think it's in the sense of like we're not high on them. I just think we're talking the realism of playing an entire season here. And
we're talking about the realism of going 11-1.
Yeah, if you lose that first game, you're like, dude, you need to go 10-1 the rest of the year just to hit your win total.
Just to push.
Honestly, I see him beating LSU. I don't see him losing that game.
Bro, they lost to Wake Forest last year. They lost to NC State. They lost to
Wake Forest with their best QB in history.
But this is the thing is like, none of these are like it's never a guarantee, especially when you have to go to a team. Yeah, and that's that team's Super Bowl. Like that's their national championship.
But all their road games are against teams that are not that good except Clemson.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because you're getting their best, dude. Like you go to Boston College the third week.
You're going to get
September
Florida's
16th.
best. You're going to get Miami's best, Pittsburgh.
Wake Forest best this year is going to be not that good, but okay, we'll see. Pitt is not going to be good.
And here's the thing. I'll also counter with this. What has Mike Norvell done?
Nothing.
He hasn't done much, but
that's what I'm saying, dude. Like
in a close game,
he took over a program that was in shambles. I mean, complete shambles.
I don't care.
And many people have done that. Bronco Mendenhall did that at UVA and had us an ACC championship game. The next year, we fall on our face. Because then there was a level of expectations created. There is now a level of expectations created for Mike Norvell, and he hasn't done it yet.
Same thing happened
Yeah,
with
but I
NC
think
State last year.
He's gonna prove a lot of people wrong this year.
He's not proving anybody wrong. The only way he's going to prove people wrong is if he doesn't win the ACC, because everybody thinks they're going to win.
Yeah,
That's 100% right.
Well, I think they're gonna win. I think they definitely gonna win the ACC.
You and everybody else thinks they're going to win the ACC.
He's bringing in the best team he has, and clearly he has the second best QB in this conference.
No, that's not necessarily true.
So who's a better QB than Travis Leonard besides Drake May? If you say Cade Klubnik, I'm logging off.
Yeah, I will say, Jordan, I do agree with Irv on that I think Jordan Henry, Travis, excuse me, good Lord, I'm getting my names mixed up here. Jordan Travis is the second best quarterback in the ACC. But that still doesn't mean Florida State wins 11 games this year.
That's fair to say right now on
Easily.
July 26th. It's easy to say that right now, but Cade Klubnik can definitely be Cade Klubnik can be a better quarterback for sure. So can Jack Plummer.
Oh man. I'll take absolutely nothing to be.
I'll take Jack Plummer under Jeff Brom and Brian Brom all day.
Best, Cade Klubnik is a what, top 5-6 quarterback right now.
Bro, Cade Klubnik was a fucking #1 recruit, dude. Like he has talent.
He was a #1 recruit.
He started one game last year, and you already know exactly what he's gonna be, dude. He was a true freshman. He was a true freshman. He started one game. He started one game.
Tennessee was missing 6 starters.
Doesn't matter. He started one. He started one game, and you know exactly what he's gonna be.
Okay,
guys, let me tell you something about bowl games though. Take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I'll take that with a grain of salt. But he was playing a team that was missing 6 starters, and he was supposed to.
I'm not referring to like the college football playoff. I'm talking about bowl games.
Sliced bread, best thing since sliced bread, 5-star freshman. And dude looked terrible. If he wasn't play action, dude's completion percentage was 58%. That's horrible on the D1 level, no matter how you slice it, how you cut it. Now, having Garrett Riley should help, but if bro doesn't hit the ground running, you looking at a 5-star bust, honestly.
Yeah, but
I hate to admit it that I was on Clemson in that game.
Yeah, so that was a sharp side.
But I will admit it. So thanks for bringing it up, Irv.
So was Irv. Irv was on Clemson too.
Okay.
No, I wasn't on Clemson.
Yeah, you were.
I actually had the over for that game, and it didn't go. I don't even think it went over.
Irv was on.
Remember, I think it was Clemson was driving at the end of the game, and they could have like backdoored the over, and
it was 31-14 was the final.
Bro, D-ball is terrible. I mean, that's the first thing you got to get better at.
All right, let's move on to Clemson.
He should have had at least 3 or 4 touchdowns in that game and missed the deep ball horribly.
Let's move on to Clemson. Their win total is 10. They won 11 games last year. They were 11-3 to win the conference, plus 155. Returning 7 starters on offense, 8 on defense. Irv, continue with what you're saying. Cade Klubnik sucks. Clemson's not going to be good. They're not going to win the ACC. No, Florida State's so much better.
They're going to have a shot to win the ACC in their because this conference is terrible.
When Clemson plays Florida State, September 23rd, AK, what's the line on that right now? Clemson minus what? 7.5? 7?
No, I probably wouldn't make. I think it's probably 6.5. But I'll tell you in a second.
If it's anything less than a touchdown, I'll bet you right now, Irv, I'll take Clemson.
You take Clemson. I'll happily take Florida, but I don't see, like you said, I don't see what y'all see in Cade Klubnik, but whatever you see.
Bro, it's not even like seeing anything, dude. We don't even know what he's going to be, bro. He started one game.
Yeah, I haven't said a word about Cade Klubnik, so.
But I'm not high on him. I don't think he's going to be that good. Garrett Riley should help him because he's a damn good offensive coordinator. And the OC from last year was terrible.
Yep.
But Clemson is just, they're in a terrible division, so they could win 9-10 games in their sleep. But when it comes to playing a team that's just as talented.
Yeah, but okay, so this is the thing. Team just as talented. Who has the better coaching staff, Clemson or Florida State? Like, what's the difference in that game if they're both just as talented?
Last year, Florida State had a better coaching staff. Now, Clemson has a better offensive coordinator because their defensive coordinator, the book is still out on that dude. Because that defense if it wasn't for that talent, they would have lost way more games than what they did. Now they did lose a good amount of talent too. So
Who?
we're gonna see.
Hey guys, opening line on that game is Clemson -3.5.
That seems way too short. Give me Clemson.
Yep.
They did lose a lot, but they lost Xavier Thomas for the entire season last year. He's back healthy this year. They also returned Rook Orherd, third team All ACC, Tyler Davis, second team All American on defense, Barrett Carter, fourth team All American, Jeremiah Trotter, honorable mention All American as a fucking freshman. He's only a sophomore this year. I mean, dude,
that's not a surprise.
this defense is fucking loaded, dog.
Nah, I wouldn't say they're loaded. Outside of Jeremiah Trotter, that secondary can be had. Sam Hartman fucking torched their ass.
Sheridan Jones, All-American, honorable mention All ACC. Nate Wiggins, honorable mention All ACC. These guys are all juniors. They were sophomores.
Yeah, I agree.
Last
They're
year.
probably going to have the best defense in maybe all of college football.
Yeah.
Also, too,
What
guys,
did
we
they
haven't
do
even
last
talked
year?
about Will Shipley.
Yeah, Shipley.
He's going to be able to run he's one of the most dynamic playmakers in the ACC, too. He's going to be able to take the load off of Klubnik, too, to a degree.
Oh my
Well,
god!
he
This is
shouldn't take
the
off
best
the line.
offensive line they've had since 2018 probably. They returned basically their entire offensive line. Will Putnam, he's going to be a fucking NFL player center. Walker Parks, Mitchell Myers, Blake Miller, Marcus Tate. I mean, dude, they returned
as high as I want on Clemson. Dabo without those 5-star generational type QBs.
He has a 5-star QB in Kate Klubnik.
He's not a generational talent. He's nowhere near Deshaun Watson, nowhere near Trevor Lawrence. That's what they hyped him up to be, but we're gonna see this year.
Bro, Irv's seen one game and he already knows, dude.
They should definitely know it's not more than one game. When you go back and watch his tape and watch his throws,
He completed 70% of his passes.
He completed 70% of his passes. He started one game, and almost all those passes was on play action. Dropping back.
I will tell you this, Irv. They won 11 games last year, Jordan.
Yep. With
Well,
DJ.
They won 11 games last year. And remember who quarterbacked for them most of those games?
Yeah, they had a mediocre at quarterback, but even that mediocre.
I'm not even going to say mediocre.
Even that mediocre quarterback.
I think he was terrible.
Stats the Klubnik from the pocket. Klubnik.
I think you're looking too much into Klubnik and not
less
at the
than
bigger
60.
picture. My personal opinion.
Yeah, he's looking too much at one. You're looking at one game and you're like, yo, I know exactly who this kid is. Like, dude, he's an 18-year-old kid who now he got his feet wet in the bowl game, right?
Okay,
He wasn't good.
And to that point, that's what I'm not hopping to the window to bet the over either.
We've seen
right?
18-year-olds hit the ground running in college football plenty of times. And dude was the
Not
number
all the
one
time.
quarterback. Dude was the number one quarterback in his class.
Bro, Caleb
He looked
Williams.
like shit
Caleb
last
Williams
year.
wasn't great when his first few starts.
Yes, he was.
No, he
brought
was
his team
not.
back from down.
He
was brought his
did,
team
and then
back
look
down
at what he
21
did. Look at what he
points.
did the few games after that. He wasn't good,
You know, he didn't lose a game till he played Baylor, and that was like 4 games in.
bro. Cade Klubnik played one game. Irv, he started one game, and you are sitting here. You're telling us exactly what he is. We have no idea, and
He's
that's
not
not.
that good.
And I'm not
I'ma
saying.
just sit back-
I'm not
I'ma just
saying
sit
that
back-
he's gonna
I'm gonna
be.
just sit back and laugh when he's not what everybody thinks he was going to be.
Well,
Because dude can't throw from the pocket.
That's
If
it.
you go. All you gotta do is watch the Tennessee game. Dude should
bro,
have
how are you
4 or
gonna
5
sit here and
touchdowns.
be? How are you gonna sit here and tell me about Cade Klubnik who can't throw for the pocket, and then you're gonna tell me Justin Fields is gonna be good in the NFL who can't throw from the pocket? Doesn't make any sense,
I'm talking
dude.
about Justin. You compare Justin
Because
Fields had
you're-
a way better freshman year than sorry ass Corey Klubnik.
Oh my god, bro. I don't know
I
what
don't see
Cade.
how you jump from Justin Fields. and
I'm
Cade
just saying
Klubnik
you're
for
telling me
fucking
out of
college.
one. You're telling me from one
Okay.
start. You're like, oh, Cade Klubnik can't throw from the pocket. He can't do this. But it's like you've seen Justin Fields who can't throw from the pocket in the NFL, and you're sitting here telling me that they're gonna
He
be.
has nobody to throw to.
I
He
don't.
just got
Dude.
talent on the offense. you
So
telling me
when
you
Justin
telling me
Fields
Justin
can't throw
Fields-
from the pocket this year,
So
then
Justin
what?
Fields
What are you
can throw
gonna
from
say?
the pocket at Ohio State.
I mean, Ohio State.
Exactly.
He threw to like
So
the 3
that's
best
the-
receivers
that's the end of that
in
debate
college.
there. If we're talking college, not NFL.
Back to
talking college-
Klubnik real quick.
Klubnik can't hold Justin Fields' jockstrap in college.
I'm
So
not nobody.
that's not even a
The only
comparison.
person that is saying for sure that they know what Cade Klubnik is you.
Okay.
AK and I are saying we don't know what he's going to be.
And I'll eat my words if I'm right or wrong. But I'm
definitely not willing to jump on the ship that I'm fading him right off the bat. When I've seen the smallest sample size, and in a bowl game that half of Clemson didn't care. They didn't want to be there. Let's face it. Bowl games.
They showed up and they was playing a team that was missing 6 starters on defense, and their quarterback couldn't do shit. So if he's what everybody,
you keep saying that though, but the kid still threw for almost 400 yards in that game.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay, garbage. Go look at it.
I understood. I watched every second of that game.
So in the
I was on
half,
Clemson. I had to endure that pain.
In the first half, how many passing yards did he have?
I'm not looking at it because I'm worried about what my best bet is. I've moved on from Clemson.
When the game mattered, look at his stats. That's all I'm gonna say.
Actually, I'm not looking at it, but I will tell you, if you go back and look, I would like you to go back and look, because didn't they tie it up in the third quarter?
Yeah, it was pretty close, and then their defense just fucking folded, dude. The fourth quarter,
and then didn't Shipley like fumble the ball, and then I can't remember what happened. But anyways, I'm pretty sure they tied it up in the third quarte.
Yeah, it was a close game going into the fourth quarter. It was.
Yeah, and then Tennessee just blew it up in the fourth quarter.
It was 14 to 3 at halftime. Clemson scored a touchdown. It was 21-6 headed into the fourth quarter.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know why I remember that game being closer going to the fourth minute.
It was 21-6. Klubnik did a 4-yard.
So maybe beginning of the fourth quarter, it was 21-14.
And then
because it ended 31-14.
Joe Milton threw a 46-yard touchdown, and then
I remember that bomb.
Kicked a field goal.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Clemson scored 1 touchdown in the beginning of the fourth quarter and didn't do shit else.
Yeah.
Anyways.
And your boy went 30 for 54, 320 yards, two INTs.
I'm not betting the house on Clemson, but I definitely think they're the best team in the conference. For sure.
I don't think they're the best team in the conference.
Yeah, we know. We know.
With what FSU added and what they're bringing back, clearly they're the best team in this conference.
Okay, we'll see September 23rd. We'll see what happens. All right, let's get some best bets for the.
Let's go, y'all.
What do you like, AK?
Go ahead, AK.
No, go ahead, Irv.
I got the under for sorry ass Pitt. I like.
Do you even know what their total is?
Yep, I think it's 6.5, 7, whatever it is. They're going under because Jerkovich is trash. Then I'm riding with my FSU boys. I'm taking the over.
Oh shit, dude, you're screwed.
11-1. If they don't lose to Clemson, undefeated. The Seminoles are back. And then I like the Boston College over under 6.5.
5.5.
5.5. Damn, I don't think they're gonna be that sorry. But give me I'll just stay on Pitt under and FSU over. Clemson, I don't really care for them, so y'all can take it from there.
Well, guys, you guys know I usually only have one best bet. Full transparency, this is the first show that I will have 2 best bets, and I have not got to the window on either of these. Every other best bet I've already played. So I'm probably going to narrow it down and play one of these. I love Boston College over 5.5 wins. Best I'm seeing it right now is -115, which is a good number. The other play that I like Florida State under 9.5 wins at +110 is the best number I found for that just now. So those are my 2 best bets, and I'll let you guys know in a future show what I get to the window on.
Damn, AK, you giving away money, bro.
AK and I have the two same best bets. I'm over 5.5 Boston College, under 10, under 9.5 FSU, and I also a little like quarter unit bet +1200 UNC to win the ACC. A little sprinkle there, but I'm with you on the win totals. I like BC over and I like FSU under, as we discussed, man. We're gonna have some fun this season when we week to week previews, man. Because Irv, if I'm telling you right now, if Florida State, if they got 2 losses in the first 6 weeks,
they're not losing to sorry ass LSU.
I tell you what, Jordan, is there a game time release for that game yet?
Let me see here. It's the night game, right? It's the Monday night game.
It's got to be.
Oh, it's Sunday night game. So it's like 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Should we do a live stream
And it's on
for
a
that
Sunday?
show? Yeah, it's Sunday. The
I
3rd.
thought that's right. Yeah. I'll make myself available to live stream that one with you boys.
Let's do it, dude.
We've got to do it, or at least live stream the second half or something. We got to do it.
That'll be good content. Cause I like LSU.
I would love to see this. Like I would personally pay money if I wasn't on the show to watch it. So
Riding with my boy.
Oh my god. Oh, I love it. We're gonna set it up. We're gonna set it up for sure.
Yep.
All right. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. Make sure to tap in. We'll be back Friday. Myself and AK will be breaking down Major League Baseball for Saturday's slate. Irv, Ben, and myself will be back Sunday night. We'll be recapping the week. And then Tuesday night, Major League Baseball preview and pick show with Irv, myself, and Ben. And then next Wednesday, we got the Big Ten preview. So definitely tap in with that. Gonna be a fun one, as you could tell if you listen to this one. So we appreciate y'all for hanging out. Follow AK on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now at AK Sports 90. You can follow Irvin at Swervin Irvin TSP. Follow myself at Jordan Rules TSP. Follow the podcast at taproom_sports. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube at Taproom Sports Podcast, twitch.tv/Taproom Sports. For AK, for Swervin Irvin, I'm Jordan Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. We'll catch y'all later. Have a beautiful rest of your week. We appreciate y'all.
Shout out them nose.
Thanks, guys. Enjoyed it.
Yes, sir.